We are back. Just a little bit of technical difficulties. This happens. I was just asking Eron Gordon, who's joined us, when you guys all get together, is it about what's going on in life, or is it about you guys still just talk about basketball all the time?
No, we definitely don't talk about basketball. Matter of fact, when we're all around each other, we definitely stopped talking about basketball. I think once we've all got off to college, I think about 4 or 5 years ago, when we're all together, we rarely ever talk about basketball. Like if we do talk about basketball, it's maybe my dad maybe talking about his businesses or Evan talking about his businesses. But when it comes to just a game of basketball, we don't talk about it very much often anymore.
What has the virus and the what's going on with the country with the actual coronavirus? What has that done to the game of basketball, especially because you still have one more year of eligibility? You're still with Valpo, right?
Yes, I'm still playing for Valpo.
Yeah. So what is that? What has that done to the game of college basketball?
For me, I think it's going to change just a little bit, not too much, but I think for right now, it's going to have an effect on a lot of the new guys, a lot of the freshmen, a lot of maybe even the transfers. When they're going to new situations, it's going to really push them back, and I think it's going to be a huge advantage for people that have already been there. I believe that this virus is going to cause a lot of people to really think twice about, what the game can do for them versus what they can do for the game. I think this has changed a lot of people's mindset of just saying, oh, I'm only a basketball player X, Y, and Z, and I think that this is going to help change, college athletics just a little bit.
Now you played at North Central first, or was North Central your first two years and Cathedral your last 2 years, right?
Central my first two, and then Cathedral my last two.
I've got a little bit of age on you, so I was at Broad Ripple High School from '82 to '86. My passion is with the game of basketball, but I didn't have very much talent whatsoever. But tell us a little bit about going into high school. What was expected of you. What did you expect of the North Central experience, and then what led to your transfer over to Cathedral?
Yeah, so I had a really good 2 years, and I think a lot of the second year was just a little bit about, I wasn't doing quite as well in the classroom. I think for me personally, I know how important it is. As you can see now, I've graduated. I'm going to get my master's, and I think for me, I was getting a little too ahead of myself at North Central. A lot of my friends, necessarily at the time weren't doing too well in the classroom either. Even outside of school, not a lot of great things were going on. And I think for me, it was definitely time for it. It was one of those situations where, I felt like this is going to give me the best opportunity to become not only a better student, not only a basketball player, but a better person. That's what I've always had my eye on.
Tell us a little bit about how enjoyable was the game of high school basketball. I mean, did it go by too fast for you? Did you take it in?
Yeah, I think I took all of it in. And I think for me, I've been blessed to, like I said, have two different experiences of going to Cathedral and going to North Central. And for me, I've had a lot of success from just my freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year. So I've had, big games. I've had some struggles. I've, went through, pretty much it all. I had a really good run at Mr. Basketball, falling short, second or third to, Kyle Guy and CJ Walker. So for me, just an absolutely amazing experience because, being able to do all the stuff that I wanted to do. The only thing that I wasn't able to do in high school was win a state championship and semester basketball. So other than those two things, I was able to do absolutely everything that I intended on doing in high school. So for me, it was truly a blessing.
You do your own podcast and you have your own show also. Tell us how that came about. Tell us about some of your guests and what does your show focus on?
Yeah, so for me, I've always wanted to do, stuff like this. I've always wanted to do stuff like radio broadcasts, really anything broadcast to where, you could have your own entertainment, your own community. And what I really try to focus on, I just try to focus on people who want to grow their platform. For me, it's not necessarily just about sports or just about entertainment. It has everything to do with all walks of life. And I think for me, just getting started into this, I've definitely wanted to just be able to share everyone's platform for everything that they do. Because I think for the younger generation, we all have different platforms, and different niches and different businesses that we all want to start. And I think for me, it's really cool to give everyone that platform because I've, grown my platform through basketball. And I think it's cool for everyone else to, share their experience with what they've done. So for me, just starting my own podcast and my own news channel was really big for me since I've, just started to get things started here in the last year or so.
Eron, where can people listen to your show?
So people can listen to my podcast, Eron Gordon Podcast on YouTube and Eron Gordon News on YouTube and Eron Gordon TV on YouTube. So for me, as of right now, I have a TV show. It's pretty much just my vlogs. It's pretty much just, me filming my life and, pretty much just goes through what I go through on the basketball, like as a college basketball player, my everyday struggles, me, our team going on the road and stuff. And then my podcasts are just, it's just pretty much me giving my 2 cents and as well as another one of my guests, just showing what they can, talk about and what they can bring to my following. Cause, I look at my analytics and most of my following is people from 18 to 24, which obviously I fall in that category. So, I try to get people around my age group, just to talk about what they've done. And I've had different people, artists, athletes, young business owners, and just so they can share their opinion. And then my news channel is just, pretty much just kind of the news that's going on today. It's just kind of just instant news. I just try to get my opinions on certain things like the NBA season, new video game that comes out, things that are, trending.
Do you see the NBA having a season?
As of right now, I think it's going to be at a standstill. I actually hope that the players do play. I know that my brother Eric, as of right now, he's with on both sides. He's understanding the part of not wanting to play because of both the pandemics, the racial injustice, as well as the COVID-19 stuff. So I think for him, he understands both, and he's ready to play. But if not, he's definitely fine with joining the players. So as of right now, it's twofold for him.
How was the college choosing? How difficult or how crazy was that when it came time for you to choose a college to play basketball at?
It was for me. I would actually say it was actually really difficult because I went through a whirlwind of me being highly ranked, me not playing that season of pretty much all of junior year, and then for me, it's a whirlwind. I think I got started with my recruiting process extremely early, which I never think that's really good. Even when I have people come into my dad's basketball program, they're getting offers, freshman year, sophomore year. I think that that's really early for a kid, and I would normally not tell a kid to really just really just have fun with it. College does, but just have fun with it. And then I think for my junior year, I was going through all that stuff, wanting to come back and wanting to play and wanting to perform. And now all of a sudden, now it's my senior year. Most people are committed now. And for me, I tried to get everything, rushed. It was I would say my college process. I was so early that it was rushed. It sounds kind of weird, but I think because everything didn't happen at the right time, it felt kind of rushed.
And tell us about making that choice for where you first played.
Yeah, so when I actually did go on my visit to Seton Hall my senior year, and I absolutely loved the school. I loved the coaches, and I loved the players most importantly. And for me, it actually wasn't an extremely difficult decision because it was really just down between Indiana Butler and Seton Hall. And I think the difference between Seton Hall is I felt like at the time, their program was going up, which it was, and as you can see now, they've been, even when I was there, they've been, top 15 in the country, the past 4 years. So they've been a really strong program, even though they don't get a lot of publicity. They've been, similar to like Gonzaga and some of those other big time programs that are a little bit smaller. But I absolutely loved it when I went on my visit there. It was absolutely great. I actually had a great 2 years there. I know, I didn't necessarily, especially my first year, I didn't get to play as much, but I thought that my sophomore year, I was a big contributor to the success of the team. I feel like I did a lot of great stuff, and I honestly feel as if when my sophomore year was over, it was a good point for me to say, to reevaluate things. Two of the coaches that recruited me there, one had retired, one had took a head coaching job at St. Peter's, and then we had 8 guys, leave the program from, 7 graduating and 1 transferring. So I felt like for me, it was, there's so many great schools in Indiana. For me, it was just like, it was kind of tough to, really be in the unknown, really just try to stick things out when there's so many great schools here that I can choose from.
And what made your choice? What led you to your choice at Valpo?
So my choice at Valpo, it really wasn't too hard, but I think once my dad was able to get in contact with Coach Loddick at the time, and for me, just talking to Coach Loddick, he checked on me all the time, just asked how it was after I announced that I was transferring. He jumped right on it. And, we talked, and he took investment in me as a person, which was extremely important instead of a player. So I think for me that was the easiest part, as well as head assistant coach Gore. When I first announced I was transferring, they were really excited for me, to be available.
And with you and your brothers growing up, how competitive were you guys?
Yeah, so we're extremely competitive. I think Evan is the most competitive one because he's competitive in a game of life, and it doesn't take him too long to get good at something, whether it just be playing a video game. He actually was a professional ping pong player in China when he was there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it didn't take him too long to get too good at that. He was playing the highest level. I mean, he's played the top player in the world. I'm not sure what his name is, but he's ranked number one in the world, and he played against those level of players. And for him, he's just always been that competitive. Eric has always treated the game as in terms of just work. He's always felt like every single time he steps out there on the court, like it's his job to do well. He doesn't. He takes everything extremely serious in terms of his diet, his body, and everything else. Me, on the other hand, I'm actually not quite as competitive as those two, but I think I've always learned how to win just through them, and learned to win through situations because I've seen it all. And I think for me, I was a little bit more experienced of what I have to do more than those two, which is the reason why I think I'm a little bit more level headed and everything I have going on. But those two are extremely competitive, much more competitive than I am.
What kind of squad do you guys have coming back next year?
So next year, I think we're going to be much better. And we did lose Javon Liberty Freeman to DePaul, but we did lose John Kaiser and Ryan Zikas. So we've lost. We've lost a little bit, but we saw the two seniors. We knew that they were going to go, and I think for us, we could be even better. And I think that starts with just our style of play. I know that we're going to be able to get up and down a lot more. We're going to be able to defend a lot better. So I believe that there's a chance that we can have a really good year this year.
Do you enjoy playing in the MVC?
Yeah, I do. I do. And that was one thing that attracted me a lot to Valpo. And I'll be honest, if Valpo is in the horizon, I'm not sure if I would have chosen Valpo. I'll be completely honest. Just with the NBC, that's so similar to the Big East. And I always say to anyone who asks, it's really like the Big East 2.0. Obviously, it didn't have the big names, Nova and Seton Hall and schools like that, Providence, but it's just extremely similar. It's 10 teams. You play everyone twice, home and away. Uh, the games are really slowed down. You have to understand, what every team does. Scouting report is tough, and then I mean, it's one of the more popular tournaments when you go down to St. Louis. It's actually got a lot of people there, and it's extremely similar to the Big East.
Of course, I went to Indiana State University, and I know you played a game there at ISU this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, it was such a blessing for the NBC to really have a lot of interest in me as a conference. But honestly, other than the Big Ten, I mean, those are two of the conferences I grew up watching. Talk about a lot of teams like Wichita State, Indiana State, teams like that were in the NBC. I grew up watching them. I grew up watching teams. Butler had joined. We talk about the UConn, things like that. So I grew up watching the Big East, and I had a lot of Big Ten. So for me, it was such a blessing, just being 10 years old watching those three conferences. Now being able to go to schools in those conferences is really unique.
Growing up, and I think it's based upon how you're raised by your parents. And I was thinking about this question earlier today: is if I had one of my brothers that were very, really, really successful, would I be jealous? Was there any jealousy in the family, or is this something that was just, your mom and dad taught the whole family there is no jealousy of someone doing better than you do?
Oh no, not at all. And I think the reason of that is because I believe that our parents have treated each and every one of us differently. separately and uniquely. Like Eric and never played for the same AU program. Evan has always been an Indiana League guy. He also played with my brother's team his final year of high school. Eric has always played with Speast up until his last year when he played with Mean Streets. And for me, I started out playing with Indy Hoosiers and played on my brother's A team. So, there's not a lot of things that they played 1 year in high school together. So there's not a lot of, comparisons and a lot of stuff that went on. We all went to different universities except for Evan went to that 1 year. So they've always treated us different with our different needs. And I think that was a big reason why it worked, because there wasn't a lot of, okay, they're going to do everything the same. It didn't work out at the same time. It didn't work out together. They may have played one-on-one, but growing up, they were just kind of competitive, and they treated, both my parents treated all three of us a little differently, which helped out a lot. People in our family, in terms of my grandfather, my grandmother, all of our cousins, they all treated us very, very differently who we were. They treated us as those basketball players. They treated us who we were.
Do you think you guys will play in front of fans this year?
Me personally, I honestly don't. I wish that we would, but I was talking to one of my assistant coaches, and we regularly talk, once or twice a week since this started, and we're both like, we don't know what's going on, and we don't think we have to, be ready to play no matter what.
Aaron, touchy subject, but not really. What do you think about what's going on in America today?
I think what's going on in America today, there's a lot of different things. Me having a mother from Nassau, Bahamas, being my mom being from a country where there's no racism, he's really like right next to Florida. And I think when it comes to race, there's a lot of things that I think people may or may not understand. Obviously, there's a lot of different injustices that do go on. And to me, the biggest one is, I would say, the racial injustice of the black meaning. And I think a lot of stuff could be changed if we, treated every person that's here, in the United States equally, with no discrepancy. And I think the biggest thing that I've talked about with our team that I necessarily don't like about, the entire justice system, and when it comes to taking down numbers is as blacks, I would say the biggest issue that I've seen, being a black man in America, kind of makes you a little leery about things. Even just number one is when you mark in, what race you are, they're going to put African American. I think that right there changes a lot of young people's perspective of what being American is. It's not being African. Like for me personally, I've never been to Africa. I have heritage from my mom, who's Bahamian. My dad is, his grandparents were American, and I think when it comes to that, it makes you kind of feel a little un-American, and that's what America is supposed to be about, to make you feel as much American as possible. So I think little stuff like that, I think, could make a huge change. Just putting down black or black Americans, African Americans, certain things like that. I think there could be change, but in terms of a lot of other things, I think a lot of other things are just going to change just through time. But I think where we could make a little bit of a change would just be doing a little tiny things like that would make a huge.
I heard comments from my parents. I think this starts with the parents,
Yeah.
and I heard comments from my dad would make comments, and once I started going to Broad Ripple High School, our coach Bill Smith was black, and he was angry at what he had to go through at Harry Wood High School and at Anderson College, Indiana State University, and getting a head coaching job in Indiana high school basketball. But he still took me under his wing.
Yeah.
So I was the only white guy a part of my basketball team my senior year, and that's where I learned, and that's where someone taught me what every human being is. And I am so grateful and so blessed that I had someone like that that took me in and kind of explained to me what racism was. But I
Yeah.
really think that it starts with parents. And correct me if I'm wrong, or I don't know what your opinion is on that.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think the number one thing is you have to treat everyone equally, no matter what the deal is. And me being from a predominantly white neighborhood, being black, there's tiny things that I think a lot of people don't really recognize if you weren't black. That if you are black, that you would see and understand. But I think a lot of that just starts with little tiny things changing. I think that is one. I think when it comes to parents, I think being able to treat and to make sure that everyone is equal, feel equal, not have an understanding, but to make sure that they feel like everyone is equal. And it's something that is taught, because I feel like racism is something that's taught, not something that actually exists. It's something that I believe people put in their minds.
Do you think it's too late for America to be able to get back on board and for this to subside or this to become better? Or do you think that if people do what we're all chatting about and coming together, do you think that society can become better and we can kind of put this to the side?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think it will ever get 100% changed, but I do think that there could be big moves that will make things a lot better. I think the number one thing that we have to focus on is that each and every person has their personality, individual traits, individual issues that they're going through. I think when you look at the entire broad perspective, yeah, nothing's perfect, but I think that we still have a little bit of ways to go in the United States. And I do believe that right now we just have to kind of just focus in on what people are talking about and not necessarily just jumping on the bandwagon. Me, I think it's more important for people to have a better understanding on the movement and keep it rolling. I think it's much better for people to, if you're interested in it, try to have a better understanding. But as of right now, just I would say, just make sure that you're just having conversations with people about it, have better understanding. If you don't agree with stuff, I definitely understand, and I don't agree with everything that's going on. But I think it's just extremely important to have those conversations.
How does Aaron Gordon stay in basketball shape during this lockdown? Of course, I know you're working at the E3 Basketball Academy, but what give us a little bit about your daily routine and your keeping in shape and honing in on your skills of basketball.
Yeah, so for me, I just try to. I like to wake up every morning and run a mile. It's not really too bad if you just wake up and run a mile, especially you get it for a little bit. So I just do that, and I get my workout in right before I start training kids, and that's what I normally do every day. I don't think that right now is the time to really be pushing your body. You want to be pushing your body, right before the season starts, and then as of right now, we don't know when it is, but for me, I just kind of try to stay in a little bit of shape, try to keep my skills a little toned, and try new stuff. Try to become a better ball handler, a better shooter, add new things to my game. Right now, I'm just staying in a little bit of shape and then trying to, make my game a lot better, watching some film, certain things like that.
Aaron Gordon, thank you so much for spending some time with us on the Keeping the Nostalgia live show. Tell everybody once again where they can listen to your program.
So you can listen to my program at Eron Gordon Podcast. It's on YouTube. You can just look that up. And then I have also Eron Gordon News. It's on YouTube, and Eron Gordon TV is on YouTube.
And tell everybody too about your dad's E3 Basketball Academy. Is that something that how big is that, by the way? Does he have his own gym? Does he use a gym? Is it at his house? How does that work?
Yeah, so right now, obviously with COVID, we started doing some stuff at our house, but it's normally at a number of different gyms all around Indianapolis. For right now, they've been at Sports Zone Academy on the west side of town, and they've also been at Park Tudor High School, just over the course of the last 2 years. And there's also been at Hasten Hebrew Academy. So those are just some of the places that he's been at, and I would, really suggest any kid that's, in Indianapolis that's really ready to work on their game and really ready to, make a jump in their game if they really want something to, really hone in on their skills. Because my dad, he does the same drills that he did with me, Evan, with just honing in our skills. And one thing about all of us is we may not be the most athletic, we may not have the most overall best fundamentals, but we have a lot of skill in our game. We all shoot the ball really well. We all handle the ball really well. So I would suggest any kid that's ready to step their game up to go there and check it out.
Aaron Gordon, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you.